It's the e-commerce master plan podcast. Here to help you solve your marketing problems and grow your e-commerce business. Cutting through the hype to bring you inspiration and advice from the e-commerce sector and beyond. Here's your host, Chloe Thomas.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the e-commerce master plan podcast. I'm Chloe Thomas, the creator and host of this award-winning show, and it's my aim in every episode to help you find ways to improve your e-commerce business. So thank you very much for tuning in. In today's episode, we're getting deep into the world of shipping, fulfillment, pick, pack and dispatch, 3PLs. Whatever you want to call it, that's what we're talking about. And we are looking at how you can turn all that back-end stuff into a competitive advantage, both to help you get repeat purchases and first-time purchases. So lots coming up in here. And I know often, you think kind of the parcel not as a marketing method. In my mind, it has a lot of marketing potential, and that's what we're going to be running through for you today. Before we get into that, though, please do check out our sponsors. This podcast is brought to you by Klaviyo, the ultimate e-commerce marketing platform for brands of all kinds and sizes. Whether you're an entrepreneur just starting out or you're part of a marketing team at a multinational brand, Klaviyo will give you everything you need to create memorable marketing moments, building customer relationships that keep shoppers coming back time and time again. Get started with a free account today. Visit klaviyo.com/masterplan. That's KLAVIYO.com/masterplan. Shipbob is a 3PL that offers fulfillment solutions for over 5,000 fast-growing online brands. With Shipbob, you can split inventory across multiple locations in the US, Canada, UK and EU to reduce shipping costs, speed up transit times and enable consistent and reliable fulfillment no matter where your customers are located. By partnering with Shipbob, e-commerce masterplan listeners get $500 in free shipping credits shipbob.com/masterplan. That's shipbob.com/masterplan. And now to introduce today's guest expert. Dhruv Saxena is the co-founder at Shipbob, a tech-first 3PL whose latest round of funding has valued them at over $1 billion. They have over 24 fulfillment centres throughout the USA, UK and Australia, and with plans to open another 35 this year. I am amazed and very grateful that Dhruv has time to come and chat with us. Hello, Dhruv.
Hi, good morning, Chloe. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for this podcast.
It's great to have you on here. I'm a little bit of a fulfillment geek. I do like talking fulfillment, so it's good to have the excuse to do it today. How did you get into e-commerce?
Well, before Shipbob, both me and my co-founder, we were running an e-commerce business for ourselves. And so we both are engineering graduates. And so after we graduated from our undergrad, we came to Chicago and we were working our full-time jobs. And on the side, we were running this e-commerce business. And being engineers, we had everything automated in this business except the part around shipping and logistics. And so we would run to the post office here in Chicago downtown and wait and stand in the lines to mail out our packages. Our managers at our full-time jobs realized that we were spending a lot more time at the post office than actually at our job. And so we tried to figure out how do other e-commerce businesses automate their shipping and logistics, and quickly realized that there wasn't really a great solution built for small to medium-sized businesses. Like if you're a large business owner, you can go to a 3PL and they'll gladly take your business because you will generate so much revenue for them. But if you're a small business owner, there wasn't really a real option for you. And that's how we decided to start Shipbob, effectively to solve our own pain point. And that process realized it's a large enough pain point to solve for other businesses as well.
It's kind of mad how long it's taken for the fulfillment industry to find a way to service the smaller client, because nobody wants to have to move fulfillment center. So if you get someone early, then the chances are they're going to stay with you and they're going to be a better place to grow because they're not spending their time picking and packing boxes and standing in queues at the post office.
Totally. I think that is one of the, from the outside in, when we talk to other folks, that's the one piece that they don't really realize that quickly, that Shipbob's growth is a accumulation of two factors. One is, of course, we have new merchants coming on board and joining the Shipbob platform. But the second more interesting piece of it is that our existing merchants who are on Shipbob actually grow a lot faster than an average e-commerce business might be. And so for Shipbob to grow, of course, we constantly have new merchants join us, but our existing merchants actually make up a large portion of our growth as well. And so that, that makes our interest very much aligned that, hey, when we bring merchants on board, we got to do everything to help them be successful because they indirectly will contribute to our growth.
Yeah, and it's the other reason it surprises me that it took so long for fulfillment to adapt to the smaller player is that, to my fairly understanding of this area, but not completely understanding of this area eyes, it seems like an area which it should be pretty straightforward to automate a lot of the workload. The parceling of data backwards and forwards and everything else. It seems, which is the way of making money on smaller retailers after all.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think the big change, which is the reason why logistics hasn't been automated, is because the growth of these platforms like Shopify and WooCommerce, etc., made it extremely simple for any person to start an online business. So the barriers to online e-commerce entrepreneurship really got lowered as an outcome of Shopify, etc. Otherwise, 7 years ago, you and me, we would have to hire engineers to build out our shopping cart. And so as an outcome of these platforms coming on board, more and more people started participating in building e-commerce presence for themselves. And two, the avenue for these brands to find an online audience through Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, etc., simply did not exist 7 years ago. And now, I don't have to be a marketer genius to figure out how do I find customers. I can go online and the tools are there. And so the largest growth in e-commerce space has been in the small to mid-sized area. And logistics happens after these businesses get formed and find an audience that they need help on shipping and fulfillment. So I think logistics is slightly, behind there, and that gave us an opportunity to get started. But hopefully, we'll see a lot more companies participating in the downstream ecosystem once direct to consumer becomes more and more mainstream.
Excellent. Okay, well, we're here to help the listeners work out and to understand and to realise that their shipping can be a competitive advantage, because clearly you and your team are working with a lot of retailers to do just that. So what's the first thing that shipping, that our kind of our shipping strategy, I suppose, can do to help us overtake our competitors?
The one thing that I see often with shipping is that, on the checkout page, having time definite shipping windows really helps increase or reduce the number of abandoned carts. And so most customers, their step one to reduce abandoned carts is to offer promotional discounts. But I think offering time definite, when will this product actually get delivered to your doorstep, can have a pretty dramatic impact. And so when we talk to our merchants who are not using Shipbob, our step number one is always like to see a simple increase in your conversion rates. Just replace those standard shipping with more, standard shipping will get delivered in 5 days, or have 2-day shipping or a 3-day shipping. So that way, as a consumer, I know when this product will get delivered, because I, as a consumer, am also used to buying stuff on Amazon.com. On Amazon.com, I get a completely different experience. So as a customer on a e-commerce brand's website, I have to do two different things. One, I have to agree to pay for shipping, because most of these brands today charge the consumer for shipping. And two, I have to be okay with not knowing when this product will arrive. And if merchants can, chip away at these two objections, which is reduce the price of shipping and offer time definite shipping options, I think that can have a pretty dramatic impact on your conversions, which hopefully help you think that shipping and supply chain is more than just a cost center.
So we can do a really simple one, which is change text on the page to say standard shipping arrives in 5 working days. But presumably once we've got everything integrated, it can get to the level of precision that Amazon can give us, as the example you've already stated, of go for express and it will be with you tomorrow, or it will be with you on the 15th or the 16th.
That's right. That's right. And the piece, that I think to figure out is, or the question to ask is like, how does an Amazon or a Walmart offer these 2 day, next day, 3 day shipping without having the customer pay for it? And one of the tricks that they've done is that they've aggregated all of this consumer data, and they've used that data to then take the inventory in their network and strategically place it close to the end consumer, such that when I buy something from Amazon and I'm in the Chicago neighborhood, that particular order most likely is not getting shipped from California. It is getting shipped from the Midwest Amazon location. And so, as an e commerce brand owner, if I had access to my consumer data, which I do, right? And I can figure out where are my consumers located and which parts of the country, at least in the US, are generating more demand and more traffic. I can then replicate the Amazon strategy for myself by taking my inventory and distributing it across the network of fulfillment centers that Shipbob has, and then provide my customers a time definite 2 day, 3 day shipping window at a price point which is matches my standard shipping option, because now all these packages are arriving to the customer without having being shipped UPS 2 day or FedEx overnight.
Yeah, and as listeners will probably know, I'm a big fan of outsourcing your shipping activity. And what you've just outlined is one of the reasons why outsourcing your fulfillment pays off, because as a small retailer, you don't have the time or effort to organise relationships with warehouses in different parts of the country or even different countries. But if you pick the right fulfillment provider, that is just part of what you get. One of the other things which I know some people will be thinking about who are doing their own shipping is when you're trying to put those dates on the order in the checkout process, you're going, oh, but Gary doesn't work on Saturdays. So it's like, right. So it doesn't become standard delivery as 5 working days. It's standard delivery is 5 working days unless you order after 4 p.m. on a Friday, because Gary probably therefore won't pack it till Monday. So then it's probably 5 days after that. And it's like, it's so complicated. Whereas if you are outsourcing fulfillment to a 3PL, they are picking and packing certainly 7 days a week, quite possibly 24/7 for you. So you don't have to factor in how long does it take on any given day and any given week to get through the warehouse, because apart from Black Friday, it's pretty much continuous.
Totally. Absolutely. Well stated, Chloe. And I'll give you one more reason. I think going back to your question on, as a brand owner, how do I think of shipping as a cost center or not? And so the analogy I often use is, 10 years ago, if you were starting a business, you would end up buying all the laptops and the servers to build your own data center. And using AWS or Windows Azure or Google Cloud was simply not an option, right? It was a non-default thing for you to do. But the reason why this AWS, for example, exists, because now as a business owner, I can use AWS or Windows Azure as a cloud provider, and suddenly all of my fixed costs in my business become variable costs, because I only pay AWS on a per usage basis, and I can scale up and down without having to, buy all the racks and the computers up front. And suddenly the way to run my business is all variable cost because I'm no longer investing in building my own data centers, which is a very profitable way of thinking, because you don't have to make all these upfront investments on day one when you may not have had product market fit. Very similar to outsourcing fulfillment is, as your business is growing, why would you want to invest in fixed costs of rent and labor and management and stitching all these software solutions together when you can outsource fulfillment and make it a variable part of your business equation where you pay per use? And the product of fulfillment actually keeps getting better every day, every week, as the fulfillment provider makes changes to its software and is always trying to get better. So you get access to one, variable cost pricing where you only pay per use, right? So it's not fixed cost. And two, the product, you get access to these free upgrades as Shipbob is opening up more locations, domestic and international, or adding more visibility around inventory tracking, order management. You're getting an upgraded product without having to spend any more of your time and resources in figuring that out. So outsourcing fulfillment, I would think, should follow the same trajectory as some of these cloud providers did, where now, if you were opening your own data center, that would be like the non-obvious way of scaling your business.
Yeah, and I think it's worth kind of majoring there as well on the not just the cost side of it, but the time side of it and the management brain power side of it. Because the number of retailers I've spoken to over the years who are going, well, we're a little bit, bursting at the seams in this location, but we've got another 5 years on the lease and it's going to cost X to get out of the lease. And then we can't yet work out if we're then going to get an office and a warehouse. And then how big it should be, because do we buy it for, it just becomes this endless stream of unanswerable questions, which can all be solved in one decision.
Totally.
Which is to outsource to a 3PL, in case anyone's wondering what that one decision is, who's listening.
Right. And then hold your 3PL to a higher standard because they're a service provider for you, more at a higher standard than what you can hold your own employee to, because you have emotional connections and times, and you don't want to let Gary know that he did not show up on Monday. And so, that's a problem. But here, the fulfillment provider, if they don't hit your standards, then you can fire them much easier than you can fire an employee.
Oh, well, exactly. I guess Drew's just given you all permission to shout at your Shipbob contacts there, which I'm not sure they're going to thank him for, but I suspect they're doing a good job for you, so you're not having to get angry with them. Okay, so we've talked from the shipping competitive advantage, both about the new customer acquisition side of improving that checkout process. Presumably there's quite a lot in terms of repeat purchase and getting that we can get by using all that a 3PL offers us in order to make that first purchase experience better so we get the second purchase.
Post-purchase for our e-commerce brands, I think I'll add two pieces to it. One is for these direct-to-consumer brands, that unboxing experience really matters. And so a large amount of our merchants actually provide us with custom boxes, which is representative of the brand and the ethos of the products that they're selling, whether that's eco-friendly or the mailers that they're using represents their brand logos, etc. So that is something which is very unique. As soon as Shipbob or a 3PL should ship that package out, that tracking number, which is generated to track that package, gets uploaded back to the Shopify or to the e-commerce store, which triggers an email to the end customer saying that this package is en route. And the carriers that Shipbob uses, then are sort of, you can trace the tracking on the particular carrier's website as well. And so every step of the way that there's an update event, you can trigger, or merchants trigger, either email or text alerts to the customers saying that this package is en route. The advantage, one of the things that I did mention, which is pretty interesting here, is because Shipbob runs, our own warehouse management software inside the fulfillment center, we have events around an order has been picked by Joe, an order has been packaged, an order has been labeled, it is on the dock, it is waiting for a truck. So the post-purchase consumer experience, a brand can really customize it all the way from the order was placed on the website to the order was picked, packed, whatever information you want to give out to the customer, so that the customer is not left in a black hole that they don't, till the time the order is actually delivered at the doorstep, they don't know what's going on. And so it's the best brands that we have really thought through this post-purchase consumer experience and provide their customers with a full life cycle of the package from inside the warehouse activities to what is happening, at the carrier's piece of it. And then if the customer doesn't receive the package, then they of course can get in touch with the customer agent on the brand side. And the customer agent on the brand side, again, can log on to the Shipbob merchant application, and they can see all of those events tracing all of the touch points that package had for within Shipbob and also on the carrier's page. And so it should make the life of you as a brand owner to answer those most common questions around where is my package, when will it get delivered, by either triggering those emails in an automated fashion or having access to a merchant application where you can search and get all this information.
What I absolutely love about your answer there, Dhruv, is that the kind of the number one or the only vaguely valid excuse for not outsourcing your fulfillment is lack of personalization, either in the box and the package itself or in the information that then gets sent out to the customer, that post-purchase experience. And I think you just thoroughly demonstrated that that is not the case. And actually, potentially, it's going to become more personalised, because I don't know many in-house pick-pack systems that tell you who actually packaged the parcel in a format that you can just insert it into an automated email. So that's very cool. Something else we ought to talk about, because we're talking shipping, is free. Should we be doing free shipping? Should we not be doing free shipping? Your thoughts, please, sir.
Yeah, well, I think there is a correlation between free shipping and more conversions from add to cart to checkout. And so if your merchandise value allows you to offer free shipping, then I think the consumers in the US have been somewhat trained not to pay for shipping, and so that it's a experiment worth conducting. But it is only a valid experiment if you actually make money on that transaction from a cost of acquisition perspective. And so the way some merchants do it, if their merchandise value does not allow them to offer free shipping, is to offer free shipping for above a certain threshold, or offer free shipping on bundled items where now that bundle is priced at a price point which allows that free shipping to happen. But I think for every brand, that's an experiment that they should conduct. But I think overall, if there was a magic wand and if you did a survey of consumers, I think most consumers will say that one of the reasons why they abandon carts is because they don't want to pay for shipping.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a single survey in the whole 20 years I've been in e-commerce that didn't have cost of shipping. In any different country either, I would add, that didn't have cost of shipping as one of the top 3 reasons why a consumer didn't purchase. It's not gone away in 20 years, so I don't think it's going away anywhere soon.
Right.
And Drew, we've talked about what we can do now with shipping to improve both our first-time purchasing and our repeat purchases. But I'd be remiss if, with you on the show, I didn't ask you what's coming up in the world of fulfillment. What should we be putting on our plans for the rest of 2021 and going beyond that?
I think the basis for us to start Shipbob, and generally, which I think are the ground truths in shipping and fulfillment, is that consumers will always want their products that they buy online to arrive sooner and for cheaper or for free. So it's very unlikely in the next 5-10 years we will want our online purchases to be slower, that I actually don't want it in 2 days, I want it in 10 days, or I want to pay more for shipping, not less. So that's what I think majority of our strategy is focused on, is how do we take costs out of the supply chain so that we can offer better pricing to our merchants, which indirectly means that they can offer better price points to the consumers, or they can absorb shipping costs, and 2, how can we make it faster? And so, in your opening, you mentioned about us opening up more locations. That is sort of our viewpoint on how do we enable faster shipping for cheaper rates by opening up more locations, which allows our merchants to then have more locations that they can distribute their inventory to, which allows their consumers to get their packages for sooner and for cheaper. And the second piece is around customization, which is, as an e-commerce brand owner, you want that box or your supply chain to reflect who you are as a brand. And so your ability to customize the box, whether it's custom boxes, custom mailers, or having marketing collateral, or having some other customized collateral, which is reflective of a customer's first order or the second order or the 100th order, like those are areas which will allow a brand to differentiate why consumers, should buy from them directly versus buying from an aggregator like an Amazon or a Walmart. So I think, focus on faster and cheaper fulfillment and newer creative ways to customize your e-commerce supply chain are going to be 2 big areas that we think are going to be areas for us to focus on.
E-commerce Master Plan is supported by some of the greatest companies in the e-commerce sector. Here's a reminder of who they are.
Success in 2021 means building stronger relationships with your customers. Last year saw a lot of consumers switching to buy online, leading to surges in new customer acquisition. So how are you planning on turning your new first-time buyers into profitable repeat customers? Well, that's what Klaviyo is for. Klaviyo helps businesses create memorable marketing moments through email, SMS, and personalised website experiences. And that is what creates repeat purchases. That's why Klaviyo, the ultimate e-commerce marketing platform, is used by over 50,000 e-commerce brands around the world. Get started with your free account today. Visit klaviyo.com/masterplan. That's KLAVIYO.com/masterplan. Are you struggling to keep up with growing order volumes, leading to missed picks and slow dispatch times? Save time, money, and headaches by outsourcing it all to the experts at Shipbob. Shipbob is a premium 3PL who partner with thousands of brands in a wide range of industries and have a 99.95% accuracy rate in fulfilling orders on time. Optimize your fulfillment strategy with Shipbob and get $500 in free shipping credits. Find out more at shipbob.com/masterplan.
It's time for the top tips round.
Okay, I love this section because it gives me and our listeners some really quick ideas for taking our businesses to the next level. So, Dhruv, you ready for the top tips?
Let's do it.
Okay, the book top tip. If everyone listening to this podcast agreed to take Friday off and read a book to make their business better, which book would you recommend?
The book that had a dramatic impact to how I think of Shipbob and how I manage my time was High Output Management by Andy Grove. Andy Grove was the CEO of Intel, and he literally wrote a handbook of sorts on how to manage people and how to manage business. That's a definite recommend.
I think that's the first time that one's been mentioned on the podcast, so I'm going to have to go and check that one out too. Okay, the traffic top tip. Which marketing method do you either prize above all others or think doesn't get the press it deserves?
I think having done this at Shipbob, I think the one thing which we often don't articulate enough is how relevant is organic marketing. And so writing these thought pieces, trying to help your customers by talking and writing about areas which are relevant for them. It takes a long time for you to build SEO credibility, but once you have it, then it's very hard for somebody else to displace you. And so a lot of brands focus on paid advertising, but I think less so on organic marketing, being really, really good at SEO and thought articles. I think that's the piece that I would encourage everyone to think through, because that's the cheapest way over a longer period to build a strong business.
Nice. Okay, the tool top tip, maybe a collaboration tool, a social media plugin, a phone app, or just a way of working. Is there a cool little tool you use that makes you and your team more efficient from day to day?
I would say we do write a lot, and so we use Jira internally, and so one of the things I've realized is if the culture of writing is extremely important, because when you write a new idea or when you're forced to write something before presenting it to others, it forces you to think more clearly. And then everyone can read that article that you've written. And then in the meeting, instead of you going over a PowerPoint slide, everyone can just ask you questions based on their understanding of the written material. And so I think we use another tool called Loom, Loom, loom.com, which allows you to quickly, voice over your written article. And so everyone then pre-watches the Loom or watches the Loom in the first 10 minutes of the meeting. And then the entire rest of the meeting is more about questions, Q&A, instead of the narrator sort of repeating everything that they've already mentioned.
Oh, I like that. So we got Loom, Loom.com. And what was the first one?
Jira, Jira. It's a Confluence.
Very nice. Okay, cool. Some nice asynchronous potential there. One of my buzzwords of 2020/2021. Apparently, I can't believe I didn't know synchronous and asynchronous before, but totally on board with those concepts now. But anyway, I digress massively. Let's do the growth top tip. If you met someone today who's focused on growing their e-commerce business from 100 orders per month to 1,000, what would be your number one tip for them?
Have a way for those 100 orders a month, have a way clear sense of what your cost of acquisition is and what is the potential lifetime value of the customer. Because if you realize, if you have a clear sense of what your cost of acquisition is, then it's easy for you to deploy more capital in helping you scale from 100 to 1,000 orders a month. But if you are not quite sure of whether you're acquiring these customers or the cost of acquisition of these customers is too high, then you will end up burning a lot of capital in scaling that business out. So having a good, really, really good measure of the unit economics of a customer will help you responsibly scale from 100 orders to 1,000 orders. And then, it's a function of time because if every customer is profitable, if you get 1,000 customers, even if it costs you a little bit of money, you'll end up building a profitable business, which is the goal for any brand owner. So just having a clear idea on your cost of acquisition and lifetime value, I think, should be a focus area.
I love it. Thank you so much, Dhruv. Before we say goodbye, could you please let the listeners know where they can find you and your business on the web and social media, please?
Yep. So our website is www.shipbob.com. Our Twitter handle is Shipbob as well, SHIPBOB. And if any of your listeners want to send me a note or have a question, they can always email me. My email is Dhruv, DHRUV, @shipbob.com.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for being on the podcast today. As I said, I love talking a little bit of fulfillment every now and then. And I hope we've inspired a few more retailers to stop doing their picking and packing, which in many ways I shouldn't be inspiring you guys to do that because I know some of you listen whilst you're doing it. So I'm kind of encouraging you to stop doing the activity you listen by, but hopefully you'll still find a time to listen even whilst you've outsourced. So Dhruv, thanks so much for being on the podcast today. It's been great chatting with you.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Chloe.
Some great insight there from Dhruv on how to, why you should be outsourcing your fulfillment if you're not already, and the sort of things you should be expecting from a fulfillment company, a 3PL that you are using to help you improve your marketing, to help you improve your customer relations, and to get those parcels right, courier prices right, etc., etc. So if you're not getting that at the moment, time to start asking those questions, I think, and find out why not. And if you're on the verge of considering outsourcing all of that stuff, I highly recommend it because it frees up your brain and your activity to do things which will help you grow your business whilst putting that all-important part of the business in very safe hands, whoever it is you choose to do that with. Now, you can get your hands on the notes from today's show, including those top tips and links to what we've mentioned by heading over to ecommercemasterplan.com/podcast. There you could also add yourself to our email list so you don't miss out on any of the many other things I share to help you improve your business. Now, if you're wondering what on earth I was waffling on about with asynchronous and synchronous comms, that comes from a podcast I did earlier this year with Shauna Morn, who is amazing at remote working tips, and she shared some great advice. And if you are loving Dhruv's tip about creating content and putting it on other people's sites, we did a really interesting episode with Rand Fishkin, formerly of Moz.com, now Spark Toro, talking about how to find the right places to put your content on. Both of those were on our sister podcast, Keep Optimizing, so I will put links to them on the show notes page for this episode, which again you can find at ecommercemasterplan.com/podcast, and click on the all episodes link and you'll find this one. Well, look, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the E-commerce Master Plan podcast. I hope, like all of them, it helps and inspires you to succeed and thrive with your business. And that's why I produce the whole thing. So please do spread the word to anyone else you think this episode could help. For now, though, have a great week and do not forget to keep optimizing.
Thank you for listening to the E-commerce Master Plan podcast. Find out more at ecommercemasterplan.com/podcast.